Hello guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sparing time for this show always. All right, now there is a scripture that Benjamin is always quoting every time we have sessions here, that the sin stands at the door, and what are you supposed to do? You have to master it. Have you mastered your weakest link? Some of these things that can actually bring you down. Now, in the context of a relationship, let's say cheating. You're in a relationship, you're in marriage, and you've been cheated on. Some of us are tempted to actually hit back by also cheating back. So today, we are going to talk about how to resist the urge of cheating back, right? With Benjamin. Hey, Benjamin.
Hello, and let's begin by clarifying that there are some people who live by this returning fire for fire. Even before the cheating comes, let's talk about your general philosophy of life.
Yeah.
Because it's what will affect how you process major betrayals of life. Mm-hmm. How have you been handling injustice? That people will say, and right there, may I believe tit for tat.
Yeah.
you know, and they say, what is forgiveness? You did what you made you happy. I have to do also what makes me happy. You are conscious. They say, I can only forgive what you did unknowingly. Yeah. If you are walking around and you stepped on my toe without seeing, I can forgive. There are people, that is their philosophy.
Yeah.
Brother, you hear the word forgiving every day, and let me tell you deeper, it has roots and philosophy, and philosophy is guiding beliefs and guiding principles.
Yeah.
Those things you hold true and they guide your decisions. So there are people who believe, my friend, behave right. You better behave right. If you do something, my friend, we must get even.
Yeah.
So, and I see people right in there. They don't believe in these things, my friend. We are in this together. If you do right, I do. You know. So there are people who even before major thing like cheating come, and we hope people. It's a prayer of everyone never to be subjected to this level of betrayal. But let's talk about offenses. Because our Lord said, offenses must come.
Yeah.
It's sure. You will be hurt. Mm-hmm. You will be treated unjustly. Offenses must come. Wrongs must come. When they come, how have you been handling them?
Yeah.
Now, there are three possible philosophies. Many people say they don't want philosophical things. Mm-hmm. They want practical things. But the philosophy itself tells you that your practical decisions are informed by what you believe about life. So what you believe about a certain area of life is what you give the name philosophy. So you can do away with the word philosophy. Let's talk about your beliefs. Beliefs dictate behavior.
Yeah.
If you're not scholarly and you hate the word philosophy, do away with it. It's okay. Just change the label to the one you're comfortable with. But this is a reality everybody has to have.
Yeah.
How you believe, what you believe about justice, fairness, and recompense, and equality, and getting even, and what you believe about fair dealing. It's a market of human interactions, and you must feel treated fairly in your relationships, in your love life, in your friendships. You must feel like you're getting a good deal. You're getting as much as you're giving. Mm-hmm. There before in your life, what has been your modus operandi? How do you approach these things by default?
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
If you grew up with African parents who never apologize, when they hurt you, they bring you a mandazi. Yeah. That's a version of apology. Or they treat you nice. Mm-hmm. They call you, oh, you boy. They behave around it. Others assume it did not happen. Mm-hmm. You know, they were super powerful. They could not. And Brahman, one way to orient your child for healthy life and for to love themselves and to learn their defenses is to tell them sorry when you have done something. Tell them that was a mistake I should not have done. I should not have done that. I think I misunderstood you.
Yeah.
All right? And I scolded you unfairly. Mm-hmm. It requires you to swallow your ego, but you won't choke by swallowing your ego. You'll only have prepared your child for realities of this world. Mm-hmm. When you realize you had misunderstood something and you overreacted, imagine telling them, I think I overreacted, I misunderstood that, I am sorry. It makes you uncomfortable for a few minutes, but it gives them a psychological defense for life. Mm-hmm. It's a small price for you, but it's a big investment for them for life. Now, you grew up without ever being healed when people injured you emotionally. That's what apologizing does. You trying to heal whom you have injured. If your parents never tried, or even if it's not from parents, later on in life you did not learn that you deserve apology when you have been offended. If you did not learn that deservingness, what will happen is you develop the need to fight back and get the justice yourself.
Yeah.
I saw one of these immature people say, dating a mature guy is very difficult. Now, when he offends me, he apologizes immediately. What am I supposed to do with the anger now? She wanted a person who does not apologize so she can storm for her. There are people actually who enjoy the making noise.
Yeah.
I don't understand them. Those words you say when you are in your anger up there, when will you ever delete them? You can say, I'm sorry later. But the fact that you have asked me what kind of a man I am, will I ever forget that? No. Can people stop joking with the fire? The words you say angrily, don't say, in Swahili, tukaletana juu. We made the noise. During the noise, what were you saying? One day record yourself. You listen, you realize you are damaging. That's why people say our love grew cold. I don't know what happened. It's these incidences of insulting and cutting their self-esteem and damaging. And you know, when you are that angry, you throw words that are hurtful so that you can feel like you have hit back.
Yeah.
As you feel the relief, what have they felt? The pain.
The pain. Words create wounds.
Yes. And wounds created by words are invisible and they can go soul. We said, you never know how your words hurt somebody. It's like throwing a stone into the sea. You can't tell how deep it will sink. Some of the words you say, they haunt the person for many years. Yeah. For very long. For very long. One guy said the mother is deceased. And during a quarrel, the girl, she threw those words and referred to the mother. He said something broke inside. The guy's mother passed on long ago. And he has lived without that connection. Yeah. And when one day the girl was doing this thing, they say, I want to make noise so that I can feel better. Yeah. She referred to the mother in a derogative, in a demeaning, not in a respectful way. I don't know whether I'm not your mother or something. And yet the mother is dead. And it's somebody, this guy, it's a place of pain for him. Yeah. He said other things he forgot. But this one, you can forgive and then the wound is still alive. Yeah. Remember that. And if you step on my toe and it starts to bleed, even when you tell me sorry, does the sorry stop the bleeding? No. Some pains can be cured by a simple sorry. The simple sorry can say you regret doing that, but the wound is still present. Those who did not learn to be healed by those who hurt them, they learn to take power into their own hands. And so when you step on them, you have seen that among young. Yeah. They don't ask for discussion why I've stepped on my shoe. As soon as you step, they step. So that can be the default of some people. That the solution is to hit back immediately. That could have been your quiet philosophy through life. One of the ladies I've coached grew up without parents. Okay, the mother died and then the father married another woman who proceeded to torture the girl with a lot of pain. And I was telling her a phenomenon many of us don't see. You can grow up with the parents in a home and it looks complete from outside, but you have gaping emotional deficiencies that are quiet until a situation demands them. Yeah. Some of your muscles are very weak, but because you don't use them, you don't realize you have a problem. Yeah. The muscles you are using to do your day-to-day chores are okay. And so you don't regard yourself as weak. You are very fit and healthy. In fact, you post Instagram how healthy you are. Until you report to a gym and they ask you to do a very small thing. They showed me a 1 kg weight. But you're supposed to lift it in a certain way with the hand stretched. And I thought I'm very strong and healthy generally. It's a very light thing actually. You can despise it. I want to do that 15 times. The first time is not. This is only. Now, surely, can we go to more serious one? No problem. The instructor is engaging a muscle I don't usually use. Neglected muscle. That time, my friend, you will not sleep. And you just lifted a half kg thing for 50. They're aiming a muscle they know you usually don't engage, which has become weak. There's some forgiveness muscle, or releasing muscle, or negotiation muscle, or a certain skill that you needed to practice. It went unpracticed, and before you're in any relationship, before you get into an intimate relationship, before you get to a serious situation that requires it, you don't notice it. I was telling that lady that many people don't realize that they have never practiced how to actually release a right to be offended, to release their entitlement to revenge. Now, let me come to this second level. So we have said you could be coming from a philosophy in childhood and upbringing that did not prepare you to be told, I'm sorry, somebody take responsibility. You could have grown in an environment where you had both parents, but they don't apologize. Or you did not have parents and the ones you had were disregarding you. Whatever you grew up in is the first question towards how you were introduced to the justice of somebody offending you and apologizing. Sometimes your mother would beat you up wrongly. It's not you, it's the other, but she thought it's you. She beat you up. And you try to explain, she does not listen, she's angry. Later it becomes plainly clear it was not you, it was the other one. She could proceed to beat the other one as well. Telling her, you made me beat your brother. So instead of you being told sorry, the other one is double punishment. Supposedly the second one is supposed to heal you. Can you imagine? Somebody spilled water, left the tap running, or did something wrong. One of the chores there, and it's a rule here, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And mama has been teaching. So and the first person says it was Bramwell. So immediately Bramwell is put on the cane and whipped. Yeah. Man, he's saying it's not me. Later on, another person says it was not Bramwell, it was Victor. You, Victor, why did you do that? Oh, mama, I'm sorry, it was me. So you made me beat your brother. And so Bramwell is supposed to hear that now he has been appeased indirectly. And you know, you can sit there with a sense of injustice.
Yeah.
You can sit there quietly and say, here, I'm alone. In this world, I have to fight for myself.
Yeah.
I have been treated unfairly, and I will never tolerate another person to treat me unfairly again. You cross me, my friend, we square. So some people made those deep-seated beliefs, and it became their modus operandi, how they approach conflict. Cross me, I cross you. So it may be not your mistake.
Yes.
Maybe you grew, you were not healed when you were hurt. You were left to fight your way through life. Are we together? So there are other people who they actually try. They were taught how to forgive, but they refused to learn because of the size of their ego. They blew their ego to disproportionate sizes.
Yeah.
Ego is that sense of importance. You know, I told you how narcissists result. Sometimes you spoil a child until they think they're very entitled. They become very sullen. So not everybody who becomes unforgiving grew up without unforgiveness. Many of them, if there was actually an effort made to tell them, just once I don't have to punish them, you know, and all that. Sometime I think when primary school, a boy stole my money and he was caught with it. Me, I just wanted my money back. I didn't want revenge. I was just happy my money was back. Yeah. I could not understand. They proceeded to give him punishment and all that. I did not follow up. What I wanted is my money back, and that's all. You have learned your lesson, I hope. You know, because there was interrogations, where was it, who took, and all that. And I remember other guys I was not born like that. At some point, one kid made me to be beaten up unfairly. And I said, after we leave school, I will square with you. She went also and reported the threat. This time, the teacher took time to educate me. You see, if you start following the revenging and trying to go and square with the people, you will be in a spiral of problems. Like now, I can punish you again, I punish you again. You're attracting. So I learned. So this doesn't pay. At some point, leave it to God. If you believe honestly it was unfair, leave it to who? To God. How was I taught? There is God who says, vengeance is mine. I will repay. I think you even showed me the verse. Say sometimes we humans make mistakes and you end up treated unfairly. And you have no recourse. You have nowhere else to go. God sees the truth. Sometimes say a silent prayer and tell him to avenge you in his own time. Forget the issue and go on with life. So I had been introduced to the concept of not trying to square up with everyone. But I said, I saw other guys who did not learn that. They did not accept. For you to be taught and to learn, you must be willing to learn, to change. Many people don't accept. They continue to fight. They continue to argue. They continue to carry it. So you could have come through life believing either to release issues and adjust your life, or you could have come through life knowing you must take the bull by the horns every time. This world is unfair and I must fight for myself. It begins with the philosophy. Number two, it begins with how you understand forgiveness versus reconciliation and trust. These are confusions that even genuine people have made the confusions. Sometimes when you realize that a person has cheated and we're asking you to forgive, you may think we're asking you to, by forgiving for you, it's about saying it was not that bad anyway. It's not a bad thing anyway. You may think we're asking you to say, to confirm their deeds as not being bad. Or you may think you're asking you to trust them again. Or you may think you're being asked to reconcile. Those are very different things. To forgive is to release the right to be angry or to seek revenge. Is to release the matter and stop mulling and hoping to see the other person crushed. Sometimes when you don't forgive, you start sitting there to wait to see whether a car will knock them. To hope they get sick. Israel was very notorious for hunting people who had killed Jews. So even after the war died, they started hunting for people quietly. They have a Mossad, a secret service that would go tracking the enemies. But they were also notorious for hiding their activities. So one time they caught up. There was a time Syria was building a nuclear bomb. They were building a nuclear factory, nuclear plant, to make a nuclear bomb and finish Israel from the map of the world. Israel was brought around 1948 by UN resolution. It was not a country. From the time our Lord left up to, they were carried away. They were dispersed and they disappeared. But scripture says they will be brought back. So they were brought back. But the enemies didn't want it. So one time they were trying to bomb them. What they did, they hunted for the guy. They bombed the factory, quietly bombed it, and they looked for the guy who was in charge. And when they killed him, they did not say it is him. They sent some scuba divers. Some guys dived in the sea, time when the guy was in the beach, and 2 snipers at the same time, and they finished him. But they said it was a very happy accident. They did not. They would hide the activity. You may have come from a place where your idea of getting even with people is to quietly punish them. You've heard people say, he cheated, I cheated back. In fact, he thinks this child is his. Women are very famous with quiet revenge. So they'll go underground and plot the revenge. And then they carry it out so they can feel, and then they feel now they can call it a happy accident. Like the Israelites saying, I did not intend it, just happened. But even you had cheated. What is wrong? In fact, it was a revenge. She stopped being careful. Some people don't pursue cheating actively. They just remove the gate. Are we together? You don't ask the thief to come and steal, but you leave the gate door open. Hoping a thief shows up, and surely a thief shows up. There before you used to resist temptations, but when you remember she cheated, say, why am I resisting? So some people don't actively plan the revenge. They stop being careful. And when the temptation comes, and surely it comes, they give in and they say, me, I forgive you. Why would you not forgive me? They're getting back. They're getting even in a quiet way. They wanted now to get level. So, you may have come from a place where you don't understand forgiveness and reconciliation and trust. Number one, several rules about how to avoid, because the urge may be, if you have cheated, the best way can also for me to cheat. One problem with cheating back is that you've changed from who you are. You're a principled person who does not just live with outsiders. Now this person has done something and you're allowing the pain to change you to who you are not. Everybody who cheated told me it does not satisfy. I finish the revenge and it begins to haunt me. Now what have I done? Is that me? Apart from also developing a secret which you must safeguard. One lady told me the husband has told her that there are no faithful men. All men have friends with benefits, mpangwa kando, clandestines, quietly. And she asked, what does that say about you as well? No, me, I'm not like that. But he had just said, oh, men Yes. Now he's about now to create an exemption for himself. I said, you have known his beliefs. Now, that is an indicator of his behaviors. That is not enough evidence, but it's enough for you to start doing quiet observations. Do your quiet underground. What he expresses, beliefs, dictate behavior. He may not be doing it, but he may be open to it. As soon as why would he resist when he finds the chance? And yet he believes all men do that. Yeah. So he may be doing it, or he may be open to it. Your job now is quiet observation. Or your other job is to ask yourself, do we share values of life? Me, I don't. I didn't want a cheating man, and you're telling me your men are cheating. Where am I really? You know, am I in the right? Am I in the right place? You should register your disapproval and say, my friend, we don't come from the same world. And if all men were like that, or rather live alone, I can't imagine sharing a man. Yeah. Register your disapproval. And another guy discovered that the lady was pleasuring herself at night, and he would hear sounds, and then she would deny. And I suggested that he should record with her phone throughout the night. If you know it happens. And this person is actually making you look like you're crazy, you are dreaming. Record it and discuss it when it is here. Sometimes when people are trying to make you crazy, you may want to gather the evidence to deal with it in front. But it was too pissed because it had been going on for long. They want to make you a fool and look like you don't know what you're saying. The beliefs, but many of them will also argue and say, it's a normal way of dreaming. Many people are like that. Everybody is like that. You know, some people try to believe, they hide behind it. So once you discover that cheating has happened and you're finding the urge to do it back, most likely you are confusing what is forgiving, what is reconciliation, what is trust. To forgive is to release the offense and give the person freedom to live their life without you wishing that they get punished. Does not mean getting back with them. Getting back is the second level, and that level is trust. So forgiving is step one. After you've forgiven, number two, we come to reconciliation. You consider whether you want to get back with them. You can forgive and say, I want to get back with them, and give them another chance to prove themselves. Or you can forgive and say, I don't want this relationship again. You have still forgiven, but you don't want it again. Nobody should tell you have not forgiven. You can forgive. Let's say you are dating, and a guy comes and they get together with your girl and they elope. God forbid. Your guy eloped with your girl. Of course, she was not abducted, she was cooperated. Yes. But the fact that your friend could seduce a woman, what does it say about him? When that has happened, you can forgive and say, I don't wish him bad. I want to continue carrying him and wishing for revenge and hoping to see him dead. I forgive him. But does that mean you must restore him as your friend?
No.
Thank you. Do you understand? So you can forgive and say, I have forgiven you and no longer carrying any beef. Yeah. And if somebody tries to sit you down, the two of you, and say, you guys, you're brothers, can you talk this out? Yes, we are talking this way. I have forgiven you. Only that, you no longer qualify to be my friend. To other person in my inner circle who has the capacity to do such an atrocity. So thank you. You go do your life. Our friendship lasted when it lasted. It helped us. That's enough. Thank you. But reconciling is when you say, this guy was my friend. And I started dating a girl and the girl seduced to him. Apparently she found him more handsome than me. And they ended up, in a way, associating in a way. They did not go too far, but along the way he felt guilty and came back. Told me, you know, your girl has been chatting me in a suggestive way. Look at these chats. That woman, man. At some point I entertained it. I was not aware. I did not, I lost myself. But I realized, this is my friend. I can't betray my friend. And I came back. You'll be offended that he entertained it for 2 months. But you'll also be relieved and confirm that he's a good guy because he has come to save you. Yeah. I didn't want you to marry a woman you don't know. And he helps you. What will happen? You can forgive and say, he's still my friend, he has saved me. I reconcile. Reconciliation is the second step. Third step is trust. And I'm not calling them steps to say they must follow each other. I'm saying, when you forgive, God commands you only to forgive. The Bible does not command you to reconcile. does not recommend you to trust. Trust is earned by the one who was wronged.
Yeah.
And it is allowed by the one who was being wronged. How it is it earned? Through consistency, by proving yourself. So if you decide to reconcile and get back, you observe the person. You don't close your eyes. You observe the person. And Brahman, let me tell you the funny thing with trusting people. Can you settle this in your head that you can never joke around? You cannot cheat around. You cannot play around with the trust of good-hearted people and get away with it.
Yeah.
Infidelity and cheating has been normalized so much. And I see people appearing on TV after betraying their wives and getting caught up in scandals of women, second women, third women out here getting children. And they still want to come back to public to talk like that was nothing. This is normal, this happens. And the public knows you betrayed the woman who built you up. And the families who supported you and who recommended you to their children as role models know that you betrayed a woman who was in their position, building their men like you were built. And you want to come and parade now the clandestine and act like now this is love. You can never get away with such a wickedness, Brahma. I want you to swallow this and know it. People mean well and who lifted the weight with you from the word go. Brahmanas, should a day wake up, should one day arrive and you don't want to do life with them, don't cheat on them. Tell them, I don't want to end up breaking your heart. Let us dissolve this early. I'm not with anybody, but I think I've lost the faith in monogamy, in fidelity. The covenants I made with you will bind me and kill me if I break them. I would rather tell you now, dissolve it, release them now, go live your philandering life. They will hurt. She will be pained how you have come to be painful, but it will be more respectful than for her to hear from media and outsiders that you have children there. She will even feel dirty that you used to sleep with another woman and come to sleep with her. You may look in the short term like you're having your field day, you're the winner. Nothing has happened to you after all. You may even brag about it and parade it like it's not a big issue. But the wheel of natural justice rotates slowly, but it grinds thoroughly.
Yeah.
Brother, fear for your life.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that marrying a faithful person is a double-edged sword? The cuts both ways.
Yeah.
They help you a lot, but you also have a high responsibility to return the trust. And you should let this person prove themselves. A person who, instead of changing their ways and saying, yes, I went out, I slept with that person, but I am stopping any association. I am no longer going out. I'm asking, let us rebuild again. If they come repenting and saying, I will no longer contact that person. If there was a child, I want you to help me in raising that child because it's my blood. It may be painful for you, and I don't want to throw them away. I don't want to get involved with the mother or the father, whatever. If the person says, if they repent that way, you can start trusting them again. But if they say, I'll marry that one as well, now you can decide whether you want to continue being in this shameful situation. And society will see you around and laugh at you. Let me finish by saying many people who carry out revenge is because they are unable to live without the person who hurt them. There are people who get to marriage when they cannot survive on their own. And the person who married you gets to learn you're very dependent and weak, and they don't feel afraid to hurt you because there's nothing you can do. Hey, human beings, I don't want you to get in love and forget human nature. Never be so in love that you forget what? Human nature. Please, the heart and the head to coordinate. The heart is failing a lot of love.
Yeah.
The head knows the facts of human nature. That when people know you can't do anything without them, they'll take you for granted. They will not resist temptation. Let me repeat by telling you, you should only trust people once you see now they are afraid to lose you. Afraid and scared to hurt you. That they see what you mean to them. That's when you start to trust. Never trust a person who looks casual.
Yeah.
Even in argument, they can tell you, you can go. Anybody who can utter those words when they are drunk, angry, or in any state, even when dreaming. If they are sleep talking and you hear, you can go. It is in them. Dreams and anger and alcohol don't generate content. They just release out what was in your heart. It was the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Catalyzed by alcohol, catalyzed by sleep, catalyzed by anger. Those are just catalysts.
Yeah.
Catalysts were not the substances for reaction. They were creating a better environment for the reaction. Are we together? Yes. So sometimes you're just supposed to raise the temperature to catalyze the reaction. You know. So people should not tell you the catalyst made me do this. No. It just hastened.
Yeah.
Alcohol removes the sense of shame. So you end up blurting out what you have been suppressing. In fact, some people drink on purpose to tell you that, to find the courage. Don't let them take back what they say. It is them who talked. So my brother, to conclude, is to say, one thing, learn to forgive even if you did not grow with it. Release so that you can be free. We don't forgive so that we can approve what they did. We forgive so that we can rise above what they did. And live our lives unburdened by what they did. To reconcile is when you think the relationship is still worth it. To reconcile is a different consideration. Sometimes I said you can reconcile and the trust refuses to come back. And you say, I had forgiven last year and tried to reconcile. The forgiveness remains me, I will not hold you. But I've tried to trust again, it's impossible. Sometimes you give it time. It's not working. So even if the family had gathered and you had agreed, it's okay, we are back together, they clapped. That was February last year. You can call them again, February this year. To say the seed we planted of reconciliation has not blossomed. Despite all the watering, I think it's a rotten seed. I have tried, and this man is doing the right thing, this woman is doing the right things. And I've done therapy, and the memories and the specialness she had in my head has gone. And I can't stay here when it's dry and there's no love. I think it is in the best interest of myself and herself to set each other free. I have forgiven, but the trust is no longer there. Nobody should tell you you're not forgiven. You're not even angry. You're facing the facts now. And saying, I think because we have good camaraderie, we have good rapport, we can cooperate peacefully. Yes.
Wow. These are some of the things that we ignore, Benjamin. Now, let me go back to the weak muscle that is unused. And in the context of cheating. Now, my view about sex, I want us to talk about that because the way I'm oriented towards sex informs my decisions.
How you interpret cheating. And that's very true. That there are some people who take sex very intimately and that it means everything. And they try to imagine, and sex is not the same. But you can start explaining details of what you did versus what I do with this one. I read somewhere saying that you must take your victims as you find them, or when you hurt them, you can't begin to tell them to be only hurt to 8 out of 10, not 10 out of 10, only 3 out of 10. You can't tell them it was not that elaborate. There are some things you can't dictate. When the person interprets sex as intimacy and becoming one and soul ties and all that, they will think that's all that is not going on. If you have done that elsewhere. Some will even fear for. There's a book called After the Affair. If you have suffered, you can actually listen to that book. It's very important. Or you can buy by a lady called Janice. She analyzed the shock, many of the things that you're losing, many of the pain that you're going through and what you're processing. And sometimes there's another lady called Elizabeth Kubler-Ross who listed the emotions people go through when they're losing somebody they loved, or even when they're anticipating their own death. Over time, psychologists have discovered the same emotions happen when you're losing relationships and love or specialness. And they start with shock, they go to denial, then there's bargaining, then there's anger, and finally there's acceptance. Through that, those painful emotions, this place of bargaining and anger usually brings that sense of revenge to want to get equality and justice. So you may have interpreted sex in such a deep way that makes it so difficult. Now you may want to inform yourself how other people view sex, because you might be interpreting in a way that the person does not interpret it. As I told you, men interpret sex very differently from women. And for many men, if my woman sleeps with another man, it's like she has given away my territory. It's territorial power to me. For a woman, it's a sense of specialness and queendom. No, I'm no longer special, I'm no longer queen. That emotional connection, that deep connection. So you need to study how the gender of the person who was cheated interprets sex generally, so that it can help you get more accurate interpretation and be able to release it sooner.
All right.
Yes.
That is the power of knowledge, my dear viewer. When you acquire new knowledge, two things are bound to happen. You think differently and act differently. Thank you for watching the Benjamin Zulu Show. Till next time.